Nick, Rozalia, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
This is our first podcast together.
Oh my
It is,
God.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I just thought of that then.
That makes me feel so proud.
Yeah.
I feel like most couples that I interview say that, and I'm like, you know what? This is the point of difference at Parenthood. I bring everyone to the table and we talk it all out.
No
So-
arguments.
It's like a counselling session.
Right? Yeah. Buckle on in.
Okay.
So
You go
for-
first.
For those listening, I have Rozalia Nick Russian on the show with me today. Rozalia is a high-profile fashion influencer and Nick, a nightlife entrepreneur. I have to say, I'm a big fan of both of you. Firstly, I said to you, Rozalia, I'm like, how many of the school mums are completely obsessed with you and your fashion? So I feel very fortunate to have you here with us today.
I'm excited to be here.
And I feel, Nick, I've been to your venues numerous times.
Dance floors a few times.
Dance
over the
floor a
years.
few times.
Yes, we've all been there.
You do an outstanding job, like with the fact, the way you curate a space, the way that you can get, build sort of a culture for that space, which is quite affluent and, and just very appealing. Is it a talent? How do you do that? I know that you work as well with your
I don't know if you
brother.
call it a talent or luck, but you try and make your own luck. It can sometimes come across like, oh, wow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
But there's over doing this for 20 odd years, 25 years, you try and work out a formula.
Yeah.
And you don't get 100% of it right, like if you always say when you start a new venue, if you can get 80% of it right, well done to you. And then you tweak things and you work things out. Just because something worked at a previous venue, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work at this venue. Yeah. But you have certain core principles that you do sort of bring over to each space that you move into. So
well, you
so far so good. Touch wood.
When's the next? Do we have anything coming up that we should all know about?
Look, we have something in the pipeline. But things take time. Things do take time, and we never fully announce anything until it's all right. 100%. Full steam, we're ready to go. We're ready to put a date on the launch. So we do have a couple of things in the pipeline, but watch this space.
Stay tuned. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah. And Rosa, you are such an icon when it comes to fashion and all things really, around that realm. How did you get into the work that you do?
It's such a boring story, and I just fell into it accidentally. Honestly, I still remember we were sitting on the couch one day and you showed me this new app. You're like, oh, there's this thing called Instagram coming out. You should download it. So I downloaded it, and at the time, obviously we'd been dating for a little while, and I think people were just naturally curious of the owner's girlfriend. Yeah. So we were already in that scene, in that sense of we were going to the races, we were going to
in the social world.
Yeah, in the social world. And so I downloaded this app, and then I just started posting photos of me going out with my girlfriends, and then people were just curious, like, oh, where's your outfit from? So then I started taking those really bad mirror selfies, with that Valencia filter. And it was like, oh, this is what I'm wearing to go out. And then from that, it was like, oh, what blush are you wearing? Or what did you do to your hair? So the detail that I would start sharing became more and more specific. And from that, I think it just it naturally grew. Then we got married, and I still remember sitting on the plane on our way to the honeymoon, and I got all these notifications that people started following me.
You're originally a private account, I remember.
Yeah, and I'm like, all these random people following me. Why are they following me? So I would just decline. So I think from that, our wedding, that gained a bit of traction as well. And then I was pregnant with our daughter Willow, and then I started sharing, baby stuff, and it just naturally evolved.
Ongoing evolution of your life. That's really what you've shown. But you never ever started out going, hey, I want to be a social media influencer or anything at all. It was also new. And I remember being at work at my old nightclub Eve. Yeah. And Rose was always a relatively shy sort of person in particular when you were younger. And I remember I was getting all these weekly different girls started coming up to me saying, oh, I love your wife. I love your wife. I love your wife. So I started going, I think something's going on here. It's a movement type there's a movement going on here.
Yep.
And then and she continued to do well with what she's done, and she's done fantastic. So
We're talking about 12 years ago, over 12 years.
more.
So,
It was more.
well, actually
then-
more. Probably maybe 15 years.
Wow.
And I think I forgot to mention brands then started noticing, say I was wearing, an age sequin skirt. I think that if you're at my age, those age sequin skirts. And then those brands started noticing of outfits, being requested or selling out.
Yeah.
So then brands started reaching out directly as well. And it was just a very natural evolution. Yeah.
What were you doing before Instagram, I guess, work-wise? Were you working?
Yeah. So when social media started Instagram, I was actually working at a childcare centre. Yeah, prior to that, I was working retail. Then I used to work for a property developer as well. So I had no idea what I wanted to do. I used to work at a kids modelling agency. So I kind of I always knew that I was more creative.
Yep.
And I tried a corporate job as well when I was working at a property developer, and I just hated it. I hated being stuck in the office. So, I was lucky that that this became a job.
And now you have all the flexibility in the world, right? To some extent, but you run your own schedule, really.
You do. But as much as sorry, I've maybe cut you off there. But as much as she does run her own schedule, it is a business that she does run. And one thing that a lot of people don't see, and Rosa doesn't go on about this, but I will, is the amount of work and back end planning and everything that goes into things, and she does a great job of it, So you do have flexibility, but you're working you're working more than you would. You're working 24/7 effectively, aren't you, whilst juggling the kids and everything else?
Well, nothing is an accident.
Yeah.
Everything's very strategic.
Yeah.
And my next job depends on how well my previous job went.
Yeah.
So it's the hustle. As Nick said, it's like running your own business. It's something that I don't go on about, but both of our lives, it's just that constant
Chaos.
hustle.
It's chaos.
Our minds are constantly going.
Yeah. What does a typical day, I'd love to ask each of you, a typical day look like for you? Like, Rosa, do you have a typical day?
Yeah, we're very routine and very structured, but that's also because our kids are involved with so many different sporting activities and after school activities that we have to be structured and routine in order for our lives to run as smoothly as possible.
Yeah.
So we like to wake up ideally between 6 and 7 every single morning. Nick does school drop off every single day, and I pretty much do every single pickup. Yeah. And we'll take the kids to different school activities. So my working hours between 8 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. So you try and cram as much as you can in the day whilst walking the dog, whilst trying to do a Pilates class.
Make the kids lunches.
Yeah, but we're so hands-on and we spend so much time with our kids and try and be present as much as we can.
And even after all the school activities and everything, and the kids are going to bed, then she's back on her phone or back on her computer or whatever it is as well. So in terms of, yes, we're very structured. The structure is, your 8 to 2:30 work. 3 o'clock or what time school pickup is till kids are in bed, and then back on the laptop, back on the phone. You know.
Like they say that success isn't an accident, right? Like there's a reason why you are doing so well. I find it interesting as well. I mean, Nick, from your perspective, your work would be more evening, right? So
Incorrect.
Is it? Okay,
Incorrect.
Talk to us about it.
Incorrect.
Okay, yeah,
Incorrect.
yeah.
It was funny. I was talking to a mate of mine the other day. He goes, do you know what I hate? Number one thing I hate is when people say, so what do you do during the week? And so what do you think I do, just rock up?
Right.
You know? Everything is so meticulously planned months and months and months in advance. So for me, I'm up at, between, 6 and 7 of a day, but lately I've been getting up at sort of 4:30 really. I don't really sleep, to be honest, but gym, school drop off, into the office, and you're in the office with the team until 6, 7 o'clock at night with all the planning and strategy and meeting with each of the different departments of the business. You've got your marketing department, your social media department, the operations department, the bar managers, the floor managers, the kitchen. There's a lot of different areas of the business. So, and I'm involved with other businesses as well. Okay. So that's the day-to-day weekly schedule.
I think because people don't realise you don't just open the door.
Right.
People turn up.
And
No.
people turn
Yeah.
up.
No,
It's
that's
all that work during the day that Nick and his team do
Yeah.
to get ready to open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're
Door.
not, people say, geez, you're always busy. There's a reason why you're busy. That event that's happening this weekend while
Yep.
you're full and other people may be quiet that weekend, that was planned 4 months ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? So everything
Yes.
you're doing, you're forecasting all the time. So you need to be ahead of the game.
So do you then?
And
if
then
you-
nighttime, sorry.
Nighttime,
Sorry. And then
yeah.
nighttime, you're making your money.
Yeah.
Daytime, you're planning to make your money.
Are you fried? Like, I'm thinking you work
Yes.
a full-time job.
Yes.
Like, talk to me about burnout.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
No, but like, how do you do it? Like you said, you don't really sleep. You're not a big sleeper?
No.
Okay,
No.
you're lucky. I feel like
No.
I'd love not to sleep because that, like, imagine the hours in my day that I'd get.
Yeah. It's not by choice that I don't sleep. I just don't sleep.
Yeah.
Like in particular, now we have better structure in terms of, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday nights. I'm in bed at a normal hour. I'm in bed by 9:30.
Oh, 8.
There you
You're
go.
in bed by 8. Yeah, I think you're the first one asleep.
Asleep out of
yeah.
it. I'm dead.
Yeah, 8:30 he's
but
out.
then,
Yeah.
but then, that's when you're waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's okay. Well, now I'm ready to go. But then it's come those trade nights at Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. In particular, Friday night. Friday you'll start work at 9 in the morning, get out of there at 2:30, 3 in the morning the next day, and then that next morning our son will have basketball at 8:30 sometimes or 9:30 sometimes.
Yep.
Then he'll have another game, and then you'll go to your daughter's game, and then you'll come home and sit down for an hour or so just to sort of relax for a bit, and then it's okay, let's go again. You get changed and off to work that night, get out of there again at 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and then coaching my son's footy team the next day at 8:30 again. So it's the weekends are just go, and it's tiring. It's definitely tiring, but I get asked this question a lot, but you work extremely hard. Yeah. There's no point working extremely hard if you don't get a chance to spend any time with your kids, because you're doing it for your family.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, your kids, they just want to be with you. So hey, what's the point in going and working all those hours if you end up sleeping in all day and then missing their basketball and missing their football and not being involved with their lives? It was complete pointless, wasn't it? So
it's interesting, isn't it? Two people, two very demanding careers. I always love to ask, because I speak to so many parents, one of the most areas with the greatest where resentment really builds is this feeling of like, well, hold on, I'm doing more, you're doing less, and just finding the right balance.
Yeah.
How do you juggle it? And have you ever sort of hit those moments of conflict where it's like, hold on, like this doesn't feel fair because I'm having to do more? Like, talk to us about it. Does anything come to mind?
I think we nutted that out very early on.
Okay.
You won't even remember this fight that we had.
Okay. Here we go.
Willow was maybe about 3 months old, or not even, maybe about 9 weeks old. She was a tiny, tiny little baby.
Yeah.
And you had just worked I think New Year's New Year's Day, and we're talking about she was born November. This is January. We went down to our friend's beach house. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And I was so excited because I was like breastfeeding, and I didn't know the newborn routine and anything like that and the structure. And I was so excited. I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I'm just going to, chill and have a bit of a holiday. Well, you were thinking the same thing. And so I remember I fed hers maybe about 6 p.m. And then I said to Nick, I said, okay, so I'm going to go to bed. Here's a bottle. If you can just feed her dream feed at whatever time at 9, 10 o'clock, knowing that I'm going to be awake at 1 a.m., at 3 a.m., at 5, at 6 a.m. Anyway, and you were like, no, well, what happens if I go to sleep? I'm like, but you're not going to sleep. You're sitting here watching TV. Yeah. I'm going to go to sleep. And you're like, but I might fall asleep. And I remember the argument, we just went back and forth yelling to the point where one of our friends were like, it's okay, I'll feed her. I'm like, no. He's to feed her.
I do not remember that at all. My response to your question was going to be no. There's never been any resentment ever, but not from me anyway. Obviously, the other side different. So just as well you got both of us here at the same time. Would have been good if we had each of us in separate rooms. You asked me. I'm like, no, we've never had any resentment.
No,
what happened?
I think very early on, there was one moment there. Then I actually remember I have a thing with males where it's like they can't be told, they have to be shown.
Oh, really?
So one of another, So and I think like it's just like spending time with like the kids at home for like a whole day, and they're like, oh my God. Yeah. I actually remember then there was a time. Look, see, this is like a counselling session.
This is great.
This is like therapy session. There was a time where I went away to Sydney for a week, and prior to me going away, I remember you said to me like, Rosa, you need to ease up on the Uber Eats. I'm like, okay, like for dinner. It's like, like, come on, like time to cut back. I'm like, okay.
Cutting costs.
Cutting costs.
Being a tight ass.
Yeah. No, not me, but cutting costs. I'm like, okay, no worries. Yeah. So I made all like the lunches in advance. Like they were at school in kinder. So all Nick had to do, the food was in the fridge. Yeah. So all Nick had to do was come home and cook dinner. Yeah. I was away for 4 days. I come back and he's like, I get the Uber Eats. I get it.
But I'm going to take a step back for a moment here. Yeah. I did the kids dream feeding every single night.
After that, you did. After our argument, you did.
Every single night.
Yeah,
every single night. So I just want to make that very, very, very clear. Yeah. And that was with me coming home at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I did it every single night.
Yeah. But I think this is such a good example of like you have to, in a way, sort of iron out the creases and work out, what each of you need in order for it to become a routine. Because doing a one-off dream feed, let's say, this is what I had to learn. I'd be like, for example, could you do the dream feed this one night? I'm exhausted. And then the next night it's back on me. So I was like, no. Like, let's make this a routine.
Consistency.
Like exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Consistency.
But they're the only two moments where I'm like, okay, seeing things from each other's perspective.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Ultimately though, we are so hands-on and we work as a team.
Yes.
And it's never like, oh, well, I cooked dinner last night, so you're cooking it tonight. Yeah. It's just like, it is what it is.
Yep.
At the end of the day, the kids need to be fed. They need to be dropped at school. They need to be picked up. Yep. And we work it out. Like that old saying, everything comes out in the wash. Yep. And like Nick spends a lot more time with the kids with their sport, but I spend more time, driving them around and cleaning their clothes. Yep. So
it's a similar thing to me and my husband. He'll do the sports, I'll do the more. And that's the thing. And I do think as the children get older, in a way it gets that little bit easier because you can formulate a bit of a routine. And then when everyone's in routine, I know for me, my husband travels a bit for work, and when the routine's thrown out, then it's like chaos again until we get the routine back. It's everything.
Structure. That's the same with business. It's the same with everything.
Right?
Even with our business, we have same meetings every time.
Yep.
Same day, same time, every week. So it's just locked in. You're not having to message each other going, hey, when can we do this catch up? It's bang, it's locked in, it's set in stone.
Makes all the difference. I want to know, obviously you guys, a lot of people, as we were saying earlier, are very interested in your lives and what goes on. And I'm sure you get a lot of, feedback on social media, good and bad. How do you handle like the trolls or people who make comments? Do you is it water off a duck's back now because you've been, relatively high profile for so long, or does it still hurt? Like, how do you navigate the trolls?
I think maybe because I've been doing this for such a long time. Yeah. I actually thought about this the other day, and when trolls criticize me, I'm like, no one can criticize as harshly as I criticize myself. I'm my own harshest critic. Yeah. So whatever trolls say, it's kind of, as you said, it's like a water off a duck's back. I've already thought of that 10 times over. So we're both so harsh on ourselves and our businesses because we just want to strive and do the best that we can. But I have a thing as well. I'm like, if I don't know you personally, then your opinion of me doesn't, affect me.
Yes.
If one of if Nick's upset with me, for example, then I can't sleep at night. That's what keeps me up at night. Yeah. But if some random who I've never met doesn't like what I'm wearing or it doesn't really affect me.
Yeah. What about you, Nick? Does it bother you?
I don't really get it, to be honest with you. Yeah. I don't really get trolls.
Yeah.
Pardon me. I might get some arsehole who says something once every blue moon, but I've been pretty lucky, and if that comment comes through, it's from a fake account or something like that. But overall, touch wood, I've been pretty lucky with that side of things. I haven't really had it. Actually, come to think of it, back when I went for the Lord Mayor thing going back 5 years ago, whatever that was, I did get trolled quite a bit then. But do you know what? If you put yourself into a position where people know you or are interested in you, I feel as though more people will like you and more people will also dislike you.
That's what they always say.
And you know, that's part of your position. You either accept it or get another job.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Curious, because talking about social media with the children as well, have you thought about how you'll navigate that and any boundaries you'll place around social media when it comes to your children?
It is tricky, isn't it? That is tricky.
It is tricky with our daughter. She's at that age where she's 11 and some of her school friends are on TikTok and I'm trying to shelter them or protect them as like long as we can.
Yeah.
So she has a phone, for example, but her phone is attached to my phone, so she can't download any apps. And she's a really good, honest girl as well. She's a really good kid.
Great kid.
But very early on, we've been so mindful about social media, even like YouTube. Like we don't let our kids watch YouTube.
The same.
And I know some people are like, oh, but you post about them on social media, and it's like. And I get that and it's really tricky, but I would never put them in a compromising position.
Yeah.
And I always say to her, Willow, whatever you put on the internet stays with you forever. Yeah. So later on in life, like I drill her with fear. I'm like, later on in life, for example, if you want to go for a job, whether you want to be a doctor, whether you want to be a fashion designer, whether you want to be whatever you want to be, people will do a background check and they'll search your name on social media and then whatever you post will still be there. So she's very mindful of that.
Yeah. Have you thought about it, Nick, like around?
It's going to be part of their life.
Yeah.
It's going to be part of their life. But as Rosa said, we try and keep them off there as long as we can.
Yeah.
I think back of our childhood, which was a lot more simple, and you also need to progress with the times as well. But you know, I don't feel as though an 11-year-old kid or an 8-year-old kid really need a phone to be sitting on there talking to their mates. You know, like she's got her phone there, which is for us having to contact her or her contact us in an emergency. That's it. And you know, they grow up with them, and she knows more about phones than what we do. But in terms of social media, we don't believe that a kid really needs it until they're 18. That's my opinion anyway. But I'm sure they'll have it prior to being 18, but we'll discuss it as we continue to approach that date. But I just think that it can be so toxic for those young kids. And I've had some mates with daughters at school where they've had group chats on Snapchat and all the rest of it, and being bullied and all the rest of it. And he didn't even know it had been going on for a year. Anyway, something was said in the group chat, and one of the girls ended up telling their mum, and their mum contacted my friends, and then it all came out, and they ended up moving schools. And But I just think if you can avoid. I don't think kids are mature enough to be dealing with it.
Absolutely not. And Willow, as I said, she's a really honest kid, and she was, you know, involved in like a group conversation. And we just removed her from that as well. But then I will say on the flip side, I do understand. I don't want people to be like, oh, you're such a hypocrite, because we see Willow doing different jobs. And that is true. Like we will get approached by different brands who are wanting to work with Willow. And so we sit there and we explain to her, and it's just like a job. Like she'll get paid a fee, and it's up to her whether she wants to do it or not. And I think that, you know, that's a great opportunity for her as well. But ultimately, it's not about, you know, talking to randoms or talking to strangers. It's this is the job and that's it. And then I don't really show her anything after that.
Yeah,
that
it's
kind of
very
makes sense.
deliberate. Yeah, and lots of boundaries around it, which makes sense. I ask all of my guests this final question. So how has parenthood changed you as a person?
She's crazy. Or crazy, yeah. What did you say?
No, I mean, you haven't changed.
I don't think I've changed.
No, the maturity levels definitely hasn't changed.
My maturity level's gone down. And our daughter, she said to our son, actually this morning, last night, she said to King, she said, Dad's just like an older brother to you. It's like,
a big kid.
So, yeah, my maturity levels definitely haven't improved. How's life? I don't feel as though I've changed.
Yeah.
But, well, I guess the thing that's changed is in any of our spare time, all I want to do is be with my, wife and my kids and, and my parents and try and spend as much time collectively together as you can.
Yeah.
My mindset hasn't changed really because I've always been pretty focused on work and family. I've always been a very family orientated person since I was a kid. So pretty boring answer, but I don't feel as though I've really changed. Do you think I've changed much?
No, but when I met you, say, for example, when we got together, I was 19, you were 28. So I feel like I've changed a lot because I was so young and I was a young mum as well. I think in terms of my answer, I would say that everything now is I think about the kids. So I know that all the time that we invest in them now is going to pay off when they're older. So, that it's such a huge responsibility to try and raise good, happy humans, confident humans. And so I think that's just the biggest shift in my perspective is that everything that I do, even the way that I speak to them, like it's, I know that their brain's like a sponge. So maybe that's why I'm a bit crazier. I don't know. I don't know.
Look, the reality is a lot more of the work still does fall back on you.
Yeah.
That's the reality. And we both share the load and we, I like to think we both do a pretty good job of it as well. But the majority of the work still does fall back on Rosa. And, between juggling work and kids and, as you said, you've got that smaller pocket of time during the day to be working. Yeah. It all banks up.
Yeah.
And it's our own choice.
I think I think you do a good job. I think we both do a pretty good job.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. What's next for both of you? Anything coming up that we need to know about? Or
what's next? Yes. I'm not ready to share it yet.
Oh, okay.
But I think when
you're not pregnant, are you?
He keeps on saying he wants 2 more kids. I'm like,
I'd love 2 more kids.
Oh,
but
wow.
I'd love 2 more kids.
You can do it with your next wife. It's definitely not me. I'm definitely done.
Tapped out.
I'm tapped out.
Hang up the ovaries.
You're preaching to the choir. I hear.
Yeah, no, I'm tapped out. No, it'll come into fruition. That's the word, fruition. Yeah, fruition. In the next 12 to 18 months. And I think when it does come live, no one's going to be surprised as to what it is. But I'm not ready to share it yet. I hate those people like, something exciting coming, and there's like 12 months later and you're still waiting for it. So,
But things also
That's
take
exciting.
things can
Things
also
take
take
time.
it can take longer than you first hope
100%.
sometimes as well. And things take time, and there's no point in announcing something until it's 100% ready to go. So.
And that's what you were saying at the start.
Yeah,
Nick,
that's
similarly,
it.
there's
That's it. So
something
we have
in
a
the
couple of
horizon.
projects in the background.
Yeah.
And once everything's ready to announce, then you announce it, because there's sometimes things don't end up going ahead. Yeah. But if you've gone and made an announcement, it's like, well, hang on a second, you don't want to be full of it. You know what I mean? You want to be, if you say you're going to do something, you do it. Be a doer, not a gonna doer.
100%. I feel like that's such an energy between the two of you. You're so like that very like deliberate business focus. So I absolutely love that. And when you are announcing the next venue, let me know. I will be on the dance floor.
You'll be number one.
Wherever you need me to be. No, thank you so much, guys, again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks you.
For
Thanks for
having
having
us.
us. Yeah, it's been good.